Welcome to your French lesson. I'm Mrs. Roberts. I'm the head of languages at Hinchingbrooke School, and this lesson is going to give you an idea about what it will be like to study languages at secondary school. I know some of you have done some languages before, some of you have done some French, some of you have done Spanish, some of you have done other languages, and you might not be doing French next year, but we are going to have a French lesson this morning, so I hope you enjoy it. And as you can see, we're going to be learning about food in French, one of my favourite topics. We're going to be able to name some foods in French, and we're going to be able to give opinions about them. And all you will need is a paper and a pen or a pencil, and you will need somebody to talk to, because we're going to do lots of speaking work and playing some games and fun things like that. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is turn to somebody near you and talk about typical French foods. What French foods do you know? Off you go, 1 minute. Can the teacher pause the recording for a moment? Okay, so hopefully you've had a good discussion about typical French foods. Let me show you some of my favourite French foods. First one is baguettes. I wonder if anybody thought of that one. So baguette is the typical bread that French people eat. Quite often they go off to the bakery in the mornings and buy their baguette fresh, still a bit warm and delicious from the bakery. So baguettes are very typical French food. And another one is croissant. I bet you got croissant. Croissants are a treat breakfast in France. They wouldn't have one every day, but perhaps on a Saturday or a Sunday morning they'd have a croissant. I'm sure you know what a croissant is. It's sort of flaky pastry. In the UK we tend to put butter and jam and honey and nice things like that on it, but in France they just have them on their own because there's loads of butter in them already. Okay, another one. So we've got baguettes, we've got croissant, and we've got cheese. I wonder how many people thought of cheese. So this is a brie cheese, very typical, famous French cheese. Delicious, very squidgy and creamy. Does get a bit stinky in the fridge after a few days, but yeah, very nice with some baguette, in fact. So we've got baguettes, we've got croissant, we've got brie, we've got a creme brulee. This is one of my favourite French desserts. It's like a creamy mousse with burnt sugar on the top, and it goes all nice and crunchy and delicious on the top. So yeah, try one of those if you ever get the opportunity. Baguettes, croissants, cheese, creme brulee, oysters. French people like oysters, especially the ones who live by the sea. There's a lot of seaside in France. So yeah, oysters, and often they eat them raw, slurp them down, maybe a bit of vinegar on top if they want. But yes, not one of my favourite things actually, but I know a lot of people who do like them. So last one we've got is these. These are much nicer than oysters in my opinion. These are called macarons, little biscuity cakes. You have 2 of them sandwiched together with a nice filling, and they'll be all nice different flavours according to what colour they are. So you can see there's a green one, which is probably pistachio flavour, like a nutty flavour. And then there's a chocolate one, isn't there? And a raspberry one, probably vanilla one. So yeah, so those are some of my typical French foods that I wanted to share with you. There we go. There they are again. Okay. Now I'm going to teach you some words for French foods. So possibly you know some of these, possibly you don't. But the first one is le poulet. Can you repeat that after me? Le poulet. Le poulet. Le poulet. Le poulet. And this is what it looks like. The word, when you see it written down, it's got a T on the end, but we don't pronounce that T. So it's le poulet. So don't be tempted to change your pronunciation because it doesn't look like how you expect. Le poulet. Next one. La viande. La viande is meat. La viande. La viande. And this is what la viande looks like, written down. La viande. Très bien, super. Next one. Le riz. Le riz. Le riz. Can you do that noise in the back of your throat? Le riz. Have a go at that. Okay, and this is what le riz looks like when it's written down. Le riz. There you go. So it's got a Z on the end that we don't pronounce, which is strange, isn't it? So le riz. So French pronunciation is very different to ours. Right, let's practice these. So we've got le poulet, la viande, le riz. Okay, have a little practice of those with your partner. Pause the recording for a moment, please, teacher. Okay, next ones. We've got les pâtes, les pâtes, les pâtes, les pâtes. And les pâtes are pasta, which we associate with Italy, really, don't we? Not France, but they do like pasta in France anyway. And we need to be able to say it because we eat it a lot, don't we? So les pâtes is pasta. And you notice there's an S on the end there. We don't pronounce that S. Very important. Les pâtes. La mousse au chocolat. La mousse au chocolat. La mousse au chocolat. La mousse au chocolat is chocolate mousse, delicious. It's French dessert. You can often get in French restaurants. La mousse au chocolat. La soupe. La soupe. La soupe. La soupe. Voila, la soupe. Okay, let's practice these. Right, I'm going to say one of these and you're going to point to it. Les pâtes. La soupe. La mousse au chocolat. Super. Okay, have a practice for a minute with your partner. Pause the recording. Brilliant. Okay, can we remember these? Talk about these with your partner for a minute. Pause the recording, please. Okay, so can we remember them? So A was le poulet, B was la viande, C was le riz. Okay, we've learnt 6 so far. There's 2 more. Les pommes de terre. Les pommes de terre. Les pommes de terre. Les pommes de terre. And our very last one is les légumes. Les légumes. Les légumes. More silent S's on the end there. Okay, so we've got les pommes de terre, les légumes. Okay, practice those 2 with your partner. Okay, can you and your partner remember these 3? Pause the recording, please. And can you and your partner remember these 3? Pause the recording, please. Brilliant. Okay, hope you remembered them all. But if not, don't worry. We're going to write them down now. So on your piece of paper, I want you to write the foods down that are in the middle of this slide. And then I want you to match them up with one of the letters on the outside so that I know that you know what they mean. And I'd also like you to add a little drawing to show what they mean. Okay, so next to le poulet, for example, you'll put the letter A and you'll put a little drawing of a chicken. Okay, have 5 minutes to do that. Pause the recording, please. Right, we're going to play a game now. One of these foods is going to disappear. So which one is it? Put your hand up and tell your teacher which one has disappeared. What was it? That's right, it was la soupe. Well done. Next one. What's gone? That's right, it's la mousse au chocolat, isn't it? Très bien. Next one. What was it? Le poulet. Excellent. Next one. What's gone? Le riz. Super. Next one. What's gone? Les pâtes. Excellent. What's gone? Les pommes de terre. Super. 2 to go. What's gone? La viande. Well done. And last one is les légumes, all on its own there. Brilliant. Okay. Right, so there's all our foods again. So have one last practice, either as a whole class or with your partner. Can you remember them all? 2 minutes, pause the recording. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is, now we've learnt lots of foods, we're going to learn how to give opinions about them. So if you want to give opinions in French, we've got different phrases you can use. So if you want to say you like something, you say j'aime, the top one here. J'aime, j'aime, j'aime. If you want to say you love something, you say j'adore. J'adore, j'adore. If you don't like it, you say je n'aime pas. Je n'aime pas. And if you hate it, you say je déteste. Je déteste. Je déteste means I hate. Okay, so if you want to put together an opinion about food, all you have to do is say one of these phrases, like j'aime or j'adore, and then the food. For example, if you wanted to say I like chicken, what would you say? Can you write that down on your piece of paper? If the teacher could just record it for a moment. Pause the recording for a moment. Okay, you should have written j'aime le poulet. Don't forget to put the word le or la or le in the middle. You have to do that. Okay, how about this one? What would you write down for this one? You would write j'adore la mousse au chocolat. Well done if you got that. I'm wondering if it would be helpful for me to go back to this slide and give you a minute to copy these down before we carry on. Shall we do that? Okay, have a minute to write those down. Put the smiley faces or the sad faces next to them. Pause the recording. Right, so let's try that again. I'm going to go from this slide. So what would you say for this opinion? You've got to say, I don't like potatoes. Can you write that down for me? Pause the recording. So you should have written that. Je n'aime pas les pommes de terre. Well done if you got that. Next one. What would you write for that opinion? I hate soup. What are you going to put? Pause the recording. Press play when you're ready. You should have je déteste la soupe. Well done. Well done if you got all those right or some of them right. Not sure if you didn't. It's all about practicing, isn't it? And keeping trying. Okay, we're going to play a game now. So we're going to play a game of battleships. So what I want you to do in a minute is copy this grid down. You've got your foods across the top and you've got the different faces down the side. And what you're going to do, you're going to put 5 crosses in the grid. And you're doing it in secret so your partner can't see where your crosses are. And then your partner is going to try and find your crosses by putting a sentence together. So say they wanted to know if you've put a cross in square 1A, they would say to you, j'aime les pâtes. If you've got a cross in that square, you say oui. If you haven't, you say non. Okay. So if they wanted to find out about square 2B, they would say j'adore les légumes. And you will say oui or non. Okay, so copy that grid down, put your 5 crosses in secret, and then play that sort of battleships game with your partner for 5 minutes. Pause the recording, please. Brilliant. Hope you enjoyed that game. Now, if you want to ask somebody, do you like a food? You use this question, or do you like anything? In fact, 2M, dead simple. 2M is do you like? So you just put the food at the end of that. So for example, if you want to ask, do you like pasta? You'd say 2M les pâtes. Again, you need to put that word le, la or les in there. Do you like soup? 2M la soupe. Okay, so I want you to turn to your partner and ask them whether they like all of those foods, and they're going to tell you. So you might ask them, tu aimes la soupe? And they'd say, je déteste la soupe. Tu aimes le poulet? J'adore le poulet. and so on. Okay, pause the recording and have a nice chat with your partner. Okay, final thing this morning is a little bit of translation, one of my favourite things. Can you translate these sentences into French? For example, number one, I like chicken. So you need to write j'aime, and then you need to write the French for chicken, which is le poulet. Again, don't forget that word, le, la, or le. Okay, and hopefully your teacher can check them with you at the end. Well done, everybody. It's been really nice to teach this morning. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of you in a couple of weeks at Hinchingbrooke and at September at Hinchingbrooke. Enjoy the rest of year 6 and looking forward to seeing you soon. Au revoir.